How you doing, everyone? Welcome back. What we're going to talk about right now is the Electoral College and whether it should or should not remain intact, or if it does remain intact, should it remain intact as it is? Now, the arguments for keeping it intact, first of all, it does not require any amendments to the Constitution to keep it intact, and it doesn't allow larger states to just roll over smaller states. Flip side of that is, however, that smaller states actually have more of a say per capita than larger states when it comes to our federal elections as far as who's going to be the next president of the United States. Now, obviously you're going to make the point that, Wyoming has 3 electoral votes, California has 54, and California obviously has more, it is going to go blue, so, okay, I get it. But let's take a look at how many congressional representatives there are per capita. In California, it's roughly about 700,000 people represented in 1 congressional district. That's 52 congressional districts plus 2 senators, so 700,000 people. Wyoming has less than 500,000 people. It has under 500,000 people in it. So that's a lot less people for 1 congressional district and 2 senators. So that's why I say that. Now that said, I mean, the system as it's set up now is, there's really no other way to do it as it's set up right now. That's fine. But is that really fair? I've heard it called, I've heard the Electoral College referred to as affirmative action for Republicans. The last Republican to win their first term with the popular vote was George H.W. Bush in 1988. Starting in 1992, 92, 96, and 2000, the Democrat won the national popular vote. And in 2 of those 3, the Democrat became president, but in 2000, the Republican won the presidency. And then in 2004, when George W. Bush was running for re-election, he won the popular vote. Since then, every election, the Democrat has won the popular vote. That's Obama twice, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, and more than likely Kamala Harris will win the popular vote this year. So is the Electoral College fair? I understand the argument that it's not, because, like for example, I live in Iowa. We have 6 electoral votes, 4 congressional districts, 2 senators. So that's where we get our 6. All 4 congressional districts are currently held by Republicans. So let's just assume for a moment that when each of those congressional representatives are up for re-election, let's just assume that they all win. And Donald Trump wins each of those districts, winning the popular vote in the state. He gets all 6 of these electoral votes, and likely that's what's going to happen. I can almost guarantee it. And, this used to be a purple state. We went for Trump twice, Obama twice, we went for Bush in 2004, but Gore in 2000, Clinton twice, Bush before that, Reagan twice. So it's historically been a purple state. But the Electoral College. I understand why some people want to get rid of it. Now, that does require an amendment to the Constitution. If you want to get rid of it, you have to amend the Constitution, go to a straight national popular vote. And, Republicans like to argue that, well, that means we'll never win another election. Okay, well, to me, that just means that you're conceding that your ideas are not popular with most people. That they're just popular enough in a few key areas. Another solution would be to go to a system similar to what is set up in Nebraska and Maine. The way those states do it, Nebraska has 5 electoral votes, 3 congressional districts, 2 senators, 5 votes. In Maine, it's 2 congressional districts, so they get 4 electoral votes. So Nebraska, more than likely, one of their districts will go to Harris, and the rest of the state will go to Trump, which means that Trump will get 4 out of 5 of those electoral votes, because he gets the 2 for winning the popular vote. Most likely in Maine, it'll be the reverse scenario, where Harris will take the popular vote in the state, but she'll win one district, Trump will win the other, so he'll get 1, and she will get 3. We could do that. Now, in a state like Iowa, for example, assuming that all 4 of our districts go red, and let's just say Trump wins each of those districts along with the Republican congressperson, he would take all 6. Alright, so we could do it that way. That doesn't require any kind of an amendment to the Constitution. 2 states already do it. So the direct popular vote, a lot of people like to say that, well, we don't want all the big cities deciding all of the elections. Okay, I get it. You know what? I'm out here in Iowa. I don't want, Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, Houston, Dallas. I don't want them making all the decisions. Now, granted, they do have the most people, those big cities. Empty land doesn't vote. People do. So I understand where you're coming from on that. What if there's a compromise, though, between the Electoral College as it is, the Electoral College with the district system, like Maine and Nebraska? Either one of those, a compromise between the Electoral College and the national popular vote. What if there's a compromise? Now, it keeps the Electoral College in place, and I understand the argument, I understand the argument that, we don't want all the big cities making all the decisions in every election. Okay, I get that. But are you okay with just a handful of states deciding every election? In past election cycles, it's been Florida, Ohio, Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, to a lesser extent Missouri, that have decided all the elections. Over time, that has changed to where now the states that decide all the elections are Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. Do we want just a handful of states deciding each election? I don't. I want everyone's vote to count. Because why would any candidate come campaign here in Iowa knowing that it's going for Trump anyway? So is Kamala Harris going to come waste her time here? No. Now, my neighboring state of Wisconsin, oh yeah, she's been there. But neither candidate's going to come to Iowa. Neither candidate's going to go to Tennessee or Texas or New York or Massachusetts or California or Wyoming. Your vote doesn't count in those states. It really doesn't. If you are in a red state, the Republican is going to win regardless. So if you're a Democrat in a red state, tough. If you're a Republican in a red state, yeah, you get your way, but your vote really doesn't matter. I mean, it's going to go to your guy anyway. If you're a Republican in a blue state, too bad, your vote doesn't count. If you're a Democrat in a blue state, all right, yeah, your person's going to win anyway. But why does anybody need to vote in either a red or a blue state? They're just going to go the way they're going to go, right? What if I told you that in the state of Iowa, roughly 40 to 45% of the people are going to vote for the Democrat? Does it make sense then for the Republican to get all 6 of our electoral votes? Maybe not. Maybe it ought to be split, maybe 4 to 2. Maybe we should do that with the Electoral College, where we could go based off of a proportion. So, for example, in a state like either Wyoming or Vermont, which only have 3 electoral votes each, if a candidate receives 1/3, all right, Vermont being blue, if the Republican gets 1/3 of the popular vote, they get 1 electoral vote, and the Democrat will get the other 2. Same in Wyoming, except reversed. The Democrat will get that 1, and the Republican will get 2. Same here in Iowa. If they get 1/3, they'll get 2, the other candidate gets 4. Texas, that's a big one, 40 electoral votes. Let's just say, 40%. And I don't have the math here in front of me, but, 40% of 40, that's pretty significant versus, 60% of 40, which, like I said, I'm not doing the math in my head right now. For some reason, the numbers aren't coming to me. But likewise in California, a Republican would get electoral votes in California and New York. A Democrat would get electoral votes in Texas and in Florida. Makes it a little bit more equitable. Makes it more in line with the popular vote. But yet, it's still possible, Republicans, for your candidate to win a minority of the popular vote and still win the presidency. And by the way, if you're worried about losing the popular vote every time, if you think you can't win the popular vote, come up with popular policy ideas. Just a thought. I mean, I don't know. Seems to make a little bit more sense than relying on all the red states to just band together and hopefully flip the occasional swing state, win by narrow margins in swing states. Makes more sense to me to just appeal to more people. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. I'll see you next time.